Good morning. My name is Dr. Maurice Sholas. I'm the Medical and Practice Director for Rehab Services with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, and I'm today participating in Virginia Commonwealth University's Project Empowerment. Today's topic is talking about mentorship, staying the course, mentorship to be a success in research. My background is I went to college at Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, after finishing high school here in Virginia. I then went on to do an MD Ph.D. program at Harvard, and left that program to pursue my specialty training in physical medicine rehab down in San Antonio, Texas. Then subspecialty training at the Rehab Institute of Chicago. Currently, I'm an attending physician and an administrator, and I practice medicine and oversee clinical research. The objectives today are, number one, to talk about the structure of a mentor-mentee relationship. Number two, look at strategies to identify a mentee or a mentor. And number three, how to incorporate a mentor into your development process. I think when talking about mentorship, it's very important to remember that this is something that's been recognized by a lot of people in a lot of professions in a lot of places. And this quote is something that really stuck with me. Shortly after finishing their undergraduate preparation, two graduates of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology reminisced about the many lessons they learned during their time at MIT. One lesson, however, stood out from all the others: how much easier the journey would have been if they'd known what they knew. How much easier the journey would have been if they knew now what they knew then. And I think this speaks to the need for mentorship. Mentors can provide mentees that knowledge that they knew then to be applied to times now. So by definition, I start off by one of the most famous mentees in popular culture, Luke Skywalker. And personal relationships are not the same as mentorships. Personal developmental relationships in which a more experienced or more knowledgeable person helps to guide a less experienced or less knowledgeable person is really the beginning of mentoring. However, true mentoring is more than just answering occasional questions or providing ad hoc help. It's really about engaging in a relationship of learning, dialogue, and challenge. So there really has to be a back and forth and something more substantive. Moving on to a slide that reflects one of the most famous mentors in pop culture, Yoda. Mentoring really is a process for the informal transmission of knowledge, social capital, and the psychosocial support perceived by the recipient as relevant to work, career, or professional development, professional goals. So really, what separates mentoring from just a conversation is the context and also how it's going to be used by the person receiving it. Finally, mentoring entails information communication, usually face-to-face and during a sustained period of time between a person who is perceived to have greater relevant knowledge, wisdom, or experience, which is a mentor, and a person who's perceived to have less experience in that area, which is called the protege. So in setting this up, what's really important to look at is that you have the context of the relationship. And this context and this mentor-mentee relationship really evolves over time. This context can be the work setting, the organizational structure, the social structure involved, as well as the occupation that's involved. Those things inform both the mentor and the protege. To focus on the mentor, some issues that come up are age difference, gender difference with the mentee, their position in the organization, particular power issues that they have or the power that they exert through their position, and their self-confidence. For the protege, age is an issue, gender is an issue, their need for power, their self-confidence, and their malleability. All those things tie into these stages and duration of the relationship. The first stage is the initiation phase, where the introductions happen. People are feeling each other out, understanding what the mentor is bringing to the equation, what the protege is bringing to the equation, how they get along. Next is the protege stage. Really, this is where all things are focused on what the protege needs, what they want, how their growth and development happens. Eventually, that breaks up. And that breakup then leads to some sort of lasting friendship. And it's really the progression through these four stages that defines the process. The second thing that's important to note here is that there will be a process and a stage. So the relationship that a protege and a mentor have at the beginning of their interaction is very, very different than what they'll have at the end of their interaction or for the lifetime of their interaction. And that expectation that there will be change goes a long way to making sure the mentor-protege relationship is more durable and lasting through that evolution. That ultimately informs the outcomes of their relationship. So looking at mentorship risks and benefits, there's risks and benefits for organizations. And that's why lots of organizations such as this have come about to really promote this process. Major benefits is that, number one, you have the development of future leaders or members of the particular organization. In this case, we can develop members of the scientific community and leaders in the scientific community. For the organization, there's also reduced turnover or attrition. So we don't have people coming into the field that get burned out and leave, and we don't have people that decide there's going to be another place that feels like more of a home to them. There's improved recruitment. It's easier to bring people into fields where minorities are underrepresented if there are mentors and people there that serve as role models or serve as inspirations that can let people believe, yes, this role and this career is for you too. Finally, there's an increased organizational commitment that ends up lowering costs, makes costs more effective, and then really there's lots of effective communication and cost-saving strategies that mentorship program have proved through organizational analyses. Now, the drawbacks of mentorship program for organizations is that there really is a lack of organizational structure or support for putting together what is by definition a more informal process. There's also a potential that this could create a climate of favoritism. If you have mentees or proteges that are associated with people with lots of power in particular instances and organizations, they can be perceived as having favorite views as opposed to people that are not associated or affiliated with these particular mentors or organizations. Also, it can be difficult in coordinating programs with other organizational initiatives. It may be that mentors and mentees have very important roles, but those roles are outside the actual scope and boundaries of primary objectives of organizations, and that can be a conflict. Finally, there's costs and resources associated with overseeing and administering a mentorship-mentee program. So organizations that are running on increasingly lean budgets have a difficult time putting together and putting aside the resources to support these. So there's major benefits, and there's also drawbacks of mentorship and protege relationships for organizations. Now to focus on the protege. For the protege, obviously there's some very, very major benefits, including career advancement, personal support, learning and development, increased confidence, and assistance and feedback. The person that is a protege really has real-time, real applicable, real-life situations that they can bounce off someone with experience and figure out how to incorporate that actively into their life. That can result in them being more effective, that can result in them being more connected, and that can result in them getting further in their chosen field, in this case, research. Now, the drawbacks of the mentorship program and process for a protege is that it could cause them to neglect their core job. It requires time to get to know, meet with, interact with, and really have a true protege-mentor relationship. Also, it's possible there could be negative experience. Not every mentor and protege relationship is for the best, and not everyone works out positively. And that negative experience, when it happens, could stain the protege against a chosen career field or a path within that career field, or make them less likely to reach out to other people that need their help in the future. Next, one of the big drawbacks are unrealistic expectations. There are a lot of times when proteges walk into situations and they think, oh my, now that I'm really being mentored by the number one person in my field, all doors will be open to me and everything will go the way it's supposed to go. And that expectation is just unrealistic. Finally, there can be an overdependence on that relationship. If your mentor is someone that is very stellar in the field, you can grow to depend on that extra endorsement as opposed to your own initiative and your own accomplishments and your own achievements. Finally, there's also the potential for a conflict between the role of your principal investigator on your research project, your immediate boss or supervisor at your job, and your mentor, because all of them are in positions of authority. All of them have direct relationships to the particular protege and their goals and career aspirations, but they don't necessarily all coordinate their efforts, and their objectives don't always align. So there are very strong benefits of the mentorship program for a protege, but there are also some significant drawbacks that need to be encompassed. Now, focusing on the mentor, there's also some benefits and some drawbacks. For the mentor, there's some benefits of personal fulfillment. It feels good to see the next generation grow and develop and evolve based on your input and your feedback. Also, you can get very skilled, very quality assistance on projects. You have financial rewards from seeing someone grow, ascend, and do well that can ultimately give back in terms of research projects, research productivity, connections with other labs and other situations and circumstances. There's also a very large increase in self-confidence in a mentor because you see your good works and good efforts being recognized by someone, and you see your good works and good efforts actually making a difference in someone else's life. It also can really revitalize a mentor's interest in work. When mentors get to some stages in their career, things feel just the same. It feels like you're walking in place. It feels like you're challenging and confronting the same problems and challenges you've confronted for years to weeks to months to days. And really bringing in a mentee or a protege can really open a mentor's eyes to fresh new possibilities and a new way of looking at the same world and the same problems. Finally, a major benefit for the mentor is that it gives the mentor access to skilled worker contributions and a rising scientist. There's nothing better than making a connection and a strong connection with someone that's going to grow up to be a superstar. And there's evidence of that in every walk of life and in every field and every career. Now, for a mentor, there's also some drawbacks. For mentors, they tend to be very accomplished, very seasoned persons. So the lack of time is a real drawback. You want to not just be a mentor in name, but you want to actually be one in action. And that action requires time. And that's something that's a premium for a lot of mentors. Some mentors see that there is a lack of benefit or lack of perceived benefits. Some mentors feel like, I'm putting so much into someone else, what am I getting back from this? There's also can be a lack of skills needed for that mentoring role. Just because you're accomplished and just because you have a story to share and tell doesn't mean you've been trained on how to effectively share that story or tell that story or use that story to inspire someone else. There's also can be some pressure on mentors to take on a mentoring role. Some organizations prioritize this. Membership in certain groups requires this. And also it can be a very strong feather in a mentor's cap as they move for academic or research success in other areas. And finally, it can be difficult for the mentor sometimes to manage a resentment of a protege. When proteges look at a mentor and they see all they've accomplished and all they've done, sometimes there can be conflict in understanding how did you get that as opposed to me or other people I see as just as deserving. So there's a lot of benefits for someone being a mentor that are personal, they're professional, and can be financial and very beneficial in research. But there are also some significant drawbacks that have to be accommodated, watched, and managed. So now that we talked about mentorship as a concept, how the relationships come and form, how people can benefit from these relationships, both from the perspective of the organization, the perspective of the mentor, and the perspective of the protege, let's talk brass tacks about how you, as a scientist that wants to break into a field, finds one. The first step is you got to know yourself. You got to know what you need. Do you need someone to walk you through steps one thing at a time? Do you need someone to be a sounding board? Do you need someone to give it to you straight with no chaser? Do you need someone to really be tender and kind with you? What are your needs and how are those needs most effectively met? After you take a look at yourself and see what your needs are, you got to look around and see those that are offering help. The next thing after that, you need to match up the best option that's interested in helping you. And then finally, for minorities, it can be a challenge to find a single mentor for all aspects of your professional life. So how do you find a blended mentor between multiple people? And then also, as you do this process, you need to be mindful of the protege-mentor relationship and how that evolves. So let's spend some more time on that first object. How do you know yourself? Okay. Knowing yourself is the root of all of these processes because you need to understand, are you a direct communicator or do you need more nuanced feedback? If you are a protege that's paired with a mentor that's a straight shooter and you prefer more nuanced feedback, it's going to be a very difficult relationship because constantly as a protege, you're going to feel judged, pushed, accosted, beaten down, savaged, and all that was happening was there was a difference in communication style. The next thing is you got to think about, how do you feel about cross-gender, cross-racial, and cross-abilities relationships? As a person of color, you may or may not be able to find someone that represents your demographic doing something that you're interested in ascending into. So how do you feel about having very personal, very private conversations that may be coming from a perspective that your mentor can't fully appreciate? And how do you make the extra steps to help them appreciate and understand where you're coming from as a protege? So again, how do you feel about these cross-cultural, cross-racial, cross-abilities relationships? The next thing to know is, what do you feel that you need to get from a mentor? Some people feel they just want access. Other people feel they want a cheerleader or a supporter. Finally, there are other people that really want a good handheld explanation and a guide, a Sherpa, if you will, through the pathway of life. And what you want is really going to be determined by what you need, and that's going to really inform the kind of person that would be a good mentor for you. The next thing is to look at what areas of support that you need from a mentor that are not already covered by family, friends, and coworkers. Each of us have a support structure and a support network, and that support structure and network can provide some very, very good information and some very good feedback, but there may be some blind spots that we need to focus on when we're finding a mentor. And finally, how much is this mentorship-protege relationship a priority to you? People get out what they put in. And if ultimately this sort of thing is not something that's a priority for you, you need to find someone as a mentor that's less serious and time intensive about that process. The second thing in terms of finding a mentor and identifying somebody to work with is you need to look for those that have offered. And by this I mean looking for a professor or a person in your process that took a special interest in your growth and development. That particular professor that pulled you aside after class and said, you know, you did a really good job today, or I'm very impressed by how you're moving through this work and inspiring others in the class, or I really respect how you've come back from a situation that was difficult. Those conversations and introductions are really tip-offs to say, this is someone that might be interested in pairing or partnering with me in a mentor-protege relationship. The other thing is that, is there a more senior peer that lets you in on a project, presentation, or publication in a way that's really beyond the scope or scale of what you were expected or automatically do? Did they give you a shot when they didn't have to? That kind of person seems, through their action, to demonstrate they care about you, they're interested in you, and they'd be open to establishing a mentor-protege relationship. Finally, is there someone that has a history of mentoring trainees that are seeking guidance? Is there someone whose job is a part of student affairs, or an organizational club faculty advisor that actually is focused towards minority involvement, involvement of women, involvement of people with disabilities in a very organized way? That's a person that clearly, by their commitment and their job description, has offered to be a mentor to many in different aspects and different areas. Finally, are there any family, civic, or spiritual connections that have professionals related to your field with an interest in your development? So is there someone out there that not just is a scientist doing the kinds of things you want to do, but they go to the same church as you, or they know your parents, or they have a connection to the same alma mater as you, or they're involved in the same sorority or fraternity as you? Look for people that have connections beyond just the professional, because those personal connections will strengthen this informal relationship. So the second thing to do when you're looking for a mentor is really look for those in your community that through their actions, their words, or their involvement have shown they've already offered. The third thing is you need to match up the best person that's available for you. It may be that you're seeking a mentor that would be perfect for you professionally, but they're just too busy and don't have time and aren't interested. Well, you know what? Wrong time, right person still equals wrong situation. So you need to look at making sure that the enemy of the good is not the perfect. So don't pass over a perfectly good mentor because you're trying to seek out the perfect mentor. Good is good enough. A person that is not just into you, a person that's just not into you is not a good fit. And I know there's a lot of references to this in pop culture, but it really matters in mentorship relationships as well. Because if they're just not that into you, they won't give you their best effort, and they won't give you a good effort in what you need as being a good protege. Finally, a really interested person that does not have the skill set or the expertise to advise you in your professional realm is not a good fit. They may be a good friend, they may be a good family member, they may be a good confidant, but ultimately they can't give you the boots on the ground, real life references and real life support targeted to what you need in a way that an optimal mentor will. But surprising options should not be dismissed. So just because they don't match what you thought they'd be coming in doesn't mean they should be ruled out. And make sure that you're being more real and honest with this person, and you are okay with being safe and vulnerable to that person in those discussions. The last thing you want to do as a mentee is be concerned that the mentor finds out something about you as a protege that ultimately could be used against you in the future. There needs to be a comfort level that there'll be confidence. There needs to be a comfort level that your relationship with your mentor is a safe place. So after talking about those first, second, and third options, the fourth thing to do is you need to figure out whether you can find one person or realize that it's tough to find a single size that fits all. There may be just one style icon and a different person that's a communication icon, and yet another person that's an administrative political icon, and then there may be another that's purely an intellectual icon. Very rarely do you find someone that's good in all of these areas. So realize, as a person looking for a mentor, you may need to have more than one person to deal with the multiple aspects of your professional life you're seeking to develop. If there's someone that particularly represents and carries themselves with a charisma and an ability that you seek to emulate, but they aren't necessarily the most political or easy to communicate with, then use them for what they can help you with, relate to them for the things that they can provide, and look for other mentors to help you with communication plans or intellectual plans. One of the most common things that happens is the person that's intellectually brilliant may be administratively and politically tone deaf. And so you'll need help both to make sure you're competent, but then you go further to communicate that competence in a way that's politically and administratively savvy, so you get credit for it, recognition for it, and can parlay that into an ability to move up in your organization or within research. The fifth thing is to be mindful that there are phases in relationships. And I put this picture up here to demonstrate that every tree and every circumstance has its season. Some seasons are springtime when it's all growing and new and dewy and exciting and fresh. That moves into the summertime where living is easy, food is good, the cotton is high, and everything is rich. That ultimately transitions to the fall, a decline phase, and that moves on to the winter where everything goes dormant. You realize that your relationship with your mentor as a protege will have all of these phases, and you should expect that. You should be able to move through that to make sure that your relationship evolves into something permanent and lasting. Now that I've talked about what a relationship is like, how that relationship benefits different people involved in the process, and what you as a person should do to look for an appropriate mentor, I think it's good to talk about what I've done in my life as maybe an example for how you can find mentorship relationships at every stage of your career. When I was in high school, I had a white, female, Jewish, non-Southern woman that was a very strong mentor to me. And as a black man from South Louisiana, originally, who is not Jewish, there couldn't be a demographic further from one that on face I would relate to. However, she was the speech and debate team coach and faculty advisor. So she really taught me how to believe in myself and how to approach competition. This very meek, very mild person made me the debater that I am today, made me the communicator I am today. And that never would have happened had I not been able to establish a relationship with someone that was outside of what was typical and what was expected. This person also taught me how to be resilient to defeat. Every competition isn't going to result in a win. And just because you lose one competition, it's very important you pick yourself back up, get back on your feet, and get ready to win the next one. She also advised me on activities and options for the future that I didn't think possible. When I didn't get a role in a play I thought I should have gotten, she turned me on to individual competition that ultimately led me to travel and see places I'd never seen before in my life, like Niagara Falls, to talk to people I'd never talked to before in my life, like Zig Ziglar and all these big gurus on personal empowerment, and to really involve myself in things that I never thought would be important to me, like public speaking. You need to find mentors at every role, because even though I'm many, many moons past high school, the lessons that she taught me still resonate with me and stay in touch with me. Moving on to college, I had a black female that was a scientist, that was my pre-med advisor, that became my mentor. She really taught me what it took to be considered. I thought I was great, but maybe everybody else didn't know that about me. And she taught me exactly what it took to be competitive, exactly what it took to actually get people to notice me, and exactly what it took to get a real shot. Because from her perspective, she can say, this is what you think is great, but this is what the rest of the world sees when they look at you. She reminded me that the world was not as supportive as my small town and small school. Everybody isn't going to cheer your arrival. Everybody isn't waiting to make things good for you and waiting to make the world line up the way you think it should. And when you come from a small, supportive environment, a wonderful, small or supportive family, and you step out into a larger world where that warmth and support isn't there, it shouldn't be a shock. And she really showed me as a mentor how to get ready for the larger world that wasn't really as supportive or kind to me as my life had been to that point. She gave me personal and directed feedback on my performance. She wasn't just a cheerleader. She actually told me things that I could do better, even if my performance was better than average in the classroom setting that she was observing. It's really important that each of us does our personal best as opposed to best compared to everyone else. It's not good enough to say I ran a really fast 100-meter dash compared to everybody in my county. Because really, you need to run the fastest 100-meter dash that you can personally run. It's a competition that you have with yourself. And finally, she was a mother figure as well as a professional advisor. There was an aspect to her mentorship of me that was very nurturing. It was professional, and those boundaries are very clear, but it was also very nurturing and helped me grow in myself and helped me feel confident. It helped me feel protected. And it helped me feel safe when I was vulnerable and figuring out exactly what steps to take and which path to walk down. On into medical school, I had a white elderly male that was my mentor. And again, this guy was from the far northeast, and I was from as far south as you can get without falling into the Gulf of Mexico. But you think, in spite of those differences, how do we get along? What did they have to offer? Well, he was a student affairs leader, and he helped me process some of my first professional challenges. Everybody, as they move through a competitive field that's hard, labor intensive, and as difficult as research is going to come up against some challenges. There's going to be something that doesn't go well, some interaction that doesn't result in something positive, some grant you try to get that you don't get, some lab you try to get into that they reject you from. How you manage that process and how you manage that defeat is really important. And how you manage that and how that affects your self-esteem is even more important. This particular mentor helped me process those challenges and put them in a place that I could learn and grow from. Finally, he gave me a perspective beyond what I could appreciate. He had seen things in life, he had done things in life, and he looked at life from a perspective that was very foreign to me. And so the gift of perspective really helps all of us as minorities, as outsiders, come into a very closed, very previously homogeneous system. And finally, he was a tireless advocate for me and a connector who put me in front of the right people. He helped me understand that, you're interested in neuroscience. You should connect with our chairman of the neurosciences department at the graduate school here. He put me in front of someone that had gone into rehabilitation medicine, even though that was a fledgling field at the time, so I could talk to a real life person that was doing something I thought I had interest in. That connectivity, that ability to use his social network and capital really catapulted me into the career that I have today. For graduate school, I had a white West Coast female that was actually much closer to my age group that was a very strong mentor for me. She was a postdoc in my research lab. She was very California in every way. She was very laid back in every way that I was high strung and uptight. But she really taught me how to work with and coexist with people that I didn't personally like. She helped me understand that you work with someone and you need to work with them in a professional way, but that doesn't mean you have to take them home with you, proverbially, literally, or figuratively. The relationship at work is just that, a professional relationship. Boundaries at work between your personal life and your professional life are just that, boundaries. And she really helped me see how to parlay that into success so that I didn't get overly invested and hurt by situations that were professional and didn't need to become personal. She also taught me that there were some things that you can say that can't be taken back. You need to be careful as a protege growing up in a world that doesn't necessarily have a lot of people like you to look at and to draw from, that first impressions are lasting impressions. And some things you say can't be taken back. She taught me that, and she taught me how to be a more soft sell. Finally, she introduced me to my subsequent lifelong love of sushi. And I put that out there because mentors don't just help you with very substantive, weighty things. They really help you find who you are and what makes you happy in life. And I can tell you as a point of fact, on those tough days when the experiments aren't going right, when the administration isn't coming through and the grants seem to be slow and held up, a good piece of sushi really makes all things better to all people, especially me. And I got that from my relationship with a mentor. And moving on to postgraduate life, I've had research mentors and clinical mentors. My research mentor was an NIH-funded intensivist, so she did pediatric critical care, whereas I do pediatric rehabilitation medicine. So we didn't do the same field, but she plugged me into a research network that helped me find people, projects, and things I can start to build my research portfolio as a professional. My clinical mentor was my faculty advisor for my clinical fellowship program. And she taught me something very important if you're taking care of kids with physical disabilities. Moms are never wrong. And that particular philosophy is not just important for me at work, it's also important for me in life, because I'm sure each of you have moms in some way, formally or informally, and I'm sure you know that they're never wrong. She taught me to be patient and gracious with families and people in a way that helped them move through a very difficult situation and circumstance and see you as an ally rather than an adversary. So mentorship, people think about as only being important when you're very junior or when you're very at the dawn of your career. But that's something that's been important to me at many phases in my life and continue to be important to me right now. Finally, I have a life mentor. This life mentor is an attending I worked with when I was very junior in my career, and he's really helped me talk through job decisions. He's helped me understand the pros and the cons of picking up and moving versus staying. He's helped me understand the pros and the cons of job offers that were out there, all of which looked good, but nothing looked perfect. And he actually taught me how he faced conundrums, and through understanding his goals and his decision-making process, I was really able to apply that to my own. So the point here being, it's very, very important that each of you find mentors that can be for different phases or seasons of your life. And it's also important that you figure out whether or not there is one mentor that fits all, or do you need mentors such as I have that are for different portions of your life, the scientist portion of your life, the clinician portion of your life, the professional portion of your life, the personal portion of your life, because all those things come together to see you as the success that you are. I spent some time talking to you today about mentorship, about finding a mentor, about being a good protege. I've talked to you a little bit about what you need to look for in that relationship and how that relationship may modify over time. Now the ball is really in your court. What do you need? What are you looking for? And where do you want to find it? If you need help with any of those questions or comments, I stand available as a resource for each and every one of you. My name is Dr. Maurice Sholas. I am the Chief of Service for Pediatric Rehab with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. This picture before you shows my partners that help do some of the work when I'm away doing some of these non-revenue generating things, and so I owe them a great debt because it's through their collaboration and teamwork that I'm available to do some of these other things. But I encourage each of you to get out there, find a mentor. Mentors make a difference, and mentors are out there for you. Thank you and have a great day.